education companies, and sort of our philosophy is pretty simple. 90% of our revenue comes in from performance. So, we'll have clients coming to us, already used to spending 100K a month, bringing back in 250K a month, and they want to get to a million a month. So in instances like that, we'll take a small base fee, and then what we do these days is, if historically they have a track record of bringing back 100K, or let's say historically they have a track record of bringing in 150K a month return on ad spend, then we'll go, the first 150K we make you've already done that yourself. Like, we don't need to take a cut of that. And then from there, we'll take anywhere from, on the low end, 2%, on the high end, especially if it's some education companies where there's no cost of goods sold, we'll take sometimes even up to 15-20%. But it's usually for e-commerce business, anywhere from 2 to 5% of whatever we make them on ads, minus the ad spend. So yeah, I mean, with some of our clients, we've got, some of our clients, we make them $1 million a month return on ad spend. And, if you're even taking 2-3% of that, and you have a few, you've got 10-15 clients, it starts to add up. My agency is not something where I'll be on my deathbed and I'm like, I'm so grateful that I've managed to build literally the most boring business on earth. But what that business allows me to do is it allows me the free cash flow to then invest. And basically my agency is the thing that kind of pays for my lifestyle. It pays for my lifestyle and allows me to put that into investments. The education company will make a lot of money very soon, but I've put a lot of money into R&D. We just built a custom platform. So, custom platform, custom community, custom tools. So that cost a lot of money over the last year and a half. So as I said, each business kind of has a different purpose, but usually on any month, it'll be anywhere from 100 to 300K a month profit. Obviously, I'm very young, but I've been running my business for 5 years. So I had a good few million kind of stockpiled, and in last year or so, I went very heavy on investments, and it's a little less now, but the first 5 months this year, every single month, I made $1 million a month from my investments, mainly in cryptocurrencies. Yeah, I'd say probably pre-tax this year, I'll do 10. My whole sort of entrepreneurial journey started when I was 14 years old, and basically from the age of 14 to 17, I read a book a week, and that was probably the most pivotal aspect of my journey, especially because at that time, me being 21 and looking at everything around me, I do still have some ego, and I still have like but I'll listen to this, but I'm not gonna listen. Like, there's something called Zen beginner's mind. When I was 14, like, it was like, oh, the book says the book says meditate, so I'm gonna meditate. The book says go to gym, I'm gonna go to gym. And I just like absorbed everything like a sponge. So when I was 14, I was reading all of these books, and I felt so isolated in school. I remember I would wake up before school at like 5 a.m. and I'd go for runs. Like, I'd go for a run, and then I'd read, and then I'd journal, and then I'd meditate. And I kind of built my own schedule. And, from the age of like 13, 14, I knew I didn't care about school. Granted, I wasn't a very smart kid, but yeah, so that's why I picked up books, and it was just, those books were the thing that actually led me to that first business, because I was reading all these books, and I didn't at that age have really anyone to express all these thoughts that were swirling around in my head. I ended up creating this Instagram account called Fuck the Norm, FCUK the Norm, and I'll get we'll pop it up on screen. So you can look back at the first post all the way, maybe 20 posts from the last one that was posted. That's all me at the age of 14. Like, all of those passages were me. It was like a cathartic experience for me to like read books and have these ideas and just get it down on paper, or on Instagram. I was just posting like quotes, and then I was just long passages, of things that were on my mind, about like friendship, about discipline, about manifestation, about like, and I was building up this account, and I was growing it, and then eventually one day I got someone DM me, and they're like, how much to buy your account? That's a thing? Like, I didn't know that was a fucking thing at the time. And then that's how I got pulled into the world of Telegram, and I got into all of these buying, selling groups for Instagram accounts. And that's actually, what I started doing was I sold a few shout outs and built up a little bit of capital, and then I bought my second Instagram account. So what I did, and this was my first business, and I only ran it for 6 or 7 months, and then it kind of became like crabs in a bucket, like everyone just kept undercutting each other in terms of prices. But what I would do is I would, you know, buy an account, let's say, I don't know, like an architecture account, like it really like high-end modern interior account, or like a account specifically focused towards Lamborghinis. And I would buy that account and then I would rebrand it to just a general luxury account, because then I could sell shout outs to, you know, blue light blocking glasses companies, to watch companies. In 2014, like that was kind of the inception of influencer marketing. That's really, I mean, you look at a company like Movement, like that is how they got to, you know, I think they sold for what, 100 million, or at least the owners. I don't know how much percentage they sold, but you know, that's how you reach a valuation like that. When, let's be honest, they're a dropshipping company. Like, that's, you know, it's not really, yeah, or at least for the longest time, for a very long time, they were really just a glorified dropshipping company. That was my first business, and as I said, it got to a point where things were just like, things just, you know, people just kept undercutting each other. So I had that, and then I also had my mom like fucking shouting at me all the time because, you know, she came from Russia, sacrificed everything, stayed in, got out of one abusive relationship, stayed in another one, because just so I could go to private school. And in her mind, it was like, okay, my son is pissing everything. I've sacrificed my entire life. Yeah. And he's pissing it all away. So I remember when I was 14, I was like, okay, you know, I'm gonna try to take studies seriously, this, that. First few ones I did was, you know, $100, $200, $200, pounds, whatever. And then by the end, it was a couple grand. Probably I made, through my entire time with that, probably made 10 grand. So after that, I got really into training. So what I would do is I would, you know, I mentioned this earlier, I would reach out to people on Instagram that had like level 3 personal trainer in their bio. And I would ask them like for, I think it's like the NCS or something like that. Basically like the book that they would get, that they would have to study in order to get their level 3 qualification. And I would just study and I'd take notes and this and that. And then I'd be at my friend's parents' house and I was so annoying. I don't know how I didn't get kicked out of more house, like more dinners, but I was just like selling my friends' parents on personal training services. Yeah. So I'd sell them, you know, for 20 pounds an hour, 25 pounds an hour. And as I said, you know, I went to private school, you know, these are wealthy parents, yeah. You know, so for them, it's fucking nothing. And that was kind of my second business. And then from there, I got really into like photography and videography. And that's kind of how the inception of my agency.